Hello everyone, Jason Alea back here again, and today we're going to be talking about Wednesday Season 2, which is the second season of the spin-off from the Addams Family. Wednesday Season 2 sees the titular character grapple with a stalker, her recovering psychic abilities which now cause black tears, and a new plotline involving her father's past with a scientist named Isaac Knight. If you saw my review for the previous season, you would know that I had a pretty good time with Wednesday. I didn't think it was a perfect show. There were some clear writing flaws here and there, and not all the dialogue worked for me, but for the most part, I thought the characters were fun. The actors did a really good job in their roles and were all very likable, and I really like the Tim Burton aesthetic that the show introduced. It fits very well within the nature of the Addams Family. Not to mention, the show actually got Tim Burton and some of his crew from previous movies to come in and do some of these episodes. So you basically get one of Hollywood's best combinations here, Tim Burton and Addams Family. It felt like this was all meant to come together. And season 2, I was hearing a lot of mixed things about it. I hear a lot of people say it was not good at all, and some say it was better than season 2. So I was going into it with a cautious mind, thinking that it's at least going to be enjoyable, but not to overhype myself. And overall, I thought this season was just about as enjoyable as the previous season. While there are some elements here that I do like better than the previous season, I do think the writing was a bit of a downgrade when compared to the first season, because this season tries to introduce so many other plot lines and storylines, like with Wednesday losing her magic and her powers, her psychic abilities. That was interesting to watch develop, and that was given a good amount of time to develop. And I love seeing the Addams Family themselves be a lot more prevalent here. They're not just guest appearances, they are actual supporting roles now. And I like seeing Wednesday's development with Morticia Addams' development as well, as these are the two characters that are very much at odds with one another. They're not like hero and villain, they're obviously mother and daughter and they love each other, but they are both very different in their ideals, in their thought process. They are their own individual people that are trying to do something that they believe is right, and you understand both sides as to why. And that aspect of the show really did get my attention whenever it's developed further and further, as well as Isaac, this zombie villain that had a past with the Addams Family. I like seeing all that develop as well, trying to see Wednesday Adam uncover this mystery as to what's going on, what his plan is, and why he's doing what he's doing. There's this other little side plot that I thought was pretty neat, with one of the bully characters from the previous season now being more of an ally to Wednesday Addams, as she is trying to take care of her mom. But the new principal of the school, played by Steve Buscemi, is secretly a bad guy and is trying to do whatever he can to win the favors of everyone while trying to keep hold to his own ideals and cult-like sensibilities, and trying to manipulate this girl into doing whatever he wants, because he holds a lot more power and leverage over her. I'm trying to be as vague without spoilers as possible, and I like seeing how that all developed as well. We also get a side plot of Wednesday's brother befriending Isaac when he's just a dumb zombie, and that was a bit weird. And we also get this other side plot with one of the main antagonists of the previous season coming back and getting revenge on Wednesday, and you start to see the problem here. I'm describing so many subplots that it felt like the show never knew what it wanted to focus on. And thankfully, since it's a TV show, it does develop these storylines a good amount. But I felt like a lot more could have been done with them if they were given a bit more episodes, or at least wait until like another season to try and touch on some of these things. I feel like we should have touched on Wednesday Addams and Isaac and her brother's little plot line with Isaac first. Maybe you could add the Steve Buscemi plotline there too, but that's it. That's all you need to focus on. Just four sides at odds, and they all culminate together at the end. But when you add one or two more of these things, it takes up a bit of screen time to where I felt like some of the side characters are a bit sidelined and not as interesting as I wanted them to be. For example, Enid, the best friend character of Wednesday, who is basically the second main character in this show, is given a little bit less than I wanted for her this season, as she is basically given an interesting plotline of her becoming a werewolf. But I felt like you could just spread a little bit of hints here and there throughout this season, then do the actual development once we get to season 3, because I felt like it was almost a bit rushed, but not really. It's just something that I felt like could have been explored a bit more, because her as an individual character, I wish we could have seen a lot more of her interactions with Wednesday about this specific plot line. She's always with someone else, another teacher, trying to talk about this, but I felt like the conflict with her and Wednesday about her becoming a werewolf forever would have been very interesting, and it just was a bit forgotten in the abundance of plot lines this show decides to cram in. And we also got this new character named Agnes, who can turn invisible, and she is alright. She's an interesting character and does get a bit more bearable as the show goes on, but again, I feel like a lot more could have been a bit done with her if the show just decided to be a little bit more focused and give a bit more screen time to all these plot lines, where a good amount of them, like half of these plot lines, were given a fair amount of development. I enjoyed them, but a fair amount of them I felt like were a bit undercooked, you know? I felt like the show was trying to like cram in so much and had so many ideas on what it wanted to do that by the end I enjoyed it. It was fun. I loved the mystery. I loved the creepy Wednesday Addams Family aesthetic that Tim Burton brings with his style. I loved the music. The production design is amazing, but the story I felt like could have been a bit more focused. However, I still had a good time with this season. I thought it was still enjoyable. I love seeing Wednesday as well, and her mystery and how she's trying to solve it is always fun to see. And Jenna Ortega does a fantastic job once again in the titular role. I love seeing the Addams Family themselves make a bigger appearance this time around. And all in all, as I said, the production design, the music, the technical aspects that we could expect from a production like this was really good. In fact, I would say that the production of this season is even better than the previous season. You could tell that they had a bigger budget to work with, and so they're able to touch on some iffy effects that looked a bit wonky in the previous season, make them a bit better here. but also just improve on the overall production of the film. I loved all the practical sets, all the makeup work. It was all really great to see. I love how practical this show was able to feel at many points of its runtime. So I think if you are a fan of this Netflix series, I think you'll have a good enough time with this season. But if you were never a fan of the Wednesday show, I could say maybe skip this one because I feel like it's just a bit more what you don't like, and it is a bit overstuffed in my opinion. But overall, I had a good time with Wednesday Season 2, and I'm going to give it a B. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time.